Hi everybody, welcome back to the kitchen. I know it's been a little while, but I'm here today with a special treat. My father-in-law is coming for a visit today, and he dearly loves fish and brews, and my hubby was wanting some too, so I said, why not come on here and show you. I had some stuff done already. Fish and brews can be made from any type of white fish. Today we're using salt cod that my husband caught off the Bacaloo, and it's got the best fish like in the world. I'm using some purity hard bread, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to read right from the bag about the product and the history of fish and brews. So hard bread, that's what this is. It looks like this. It comes in little cakes like so. And it's also known as hardtack, and it's been around for like centuries. And it's been a dietary staple of Newfoundlanders for many years. It was developed from the ancient sea biscuit, and that was the basis of meals on fishing vessels and cargo ships before the 1840s. And I guess that was before they could cook and stuff on the vessels. Due to its long life, the hard bread was an ideal substitute for fresh bread. And as one tale goes, a cook on a schooner was preparing a meal of hard bread and fish for the crew, and then the crew asked to break up the bread prior to soaking, or bruise the bread, and that's where the term brews came from. Now you learned something new today. So basically what it is, it's fish, well, any kind of white fish. Traditional Newfoundland is saltfish. Some people even put potatoes in there. Traditionally, I'm not going to. We have our fish, our hard bread, an onion or two. I used one because I had one about twice the size of this one. And we're going to use something called pork scrunchions. I don't know if you can see very well. There's a bit of a glare. These are raw, and basically it's fat back pork. It's just the fat from pork, and it's cut up in little bits. And when it's fried off, I'll show you beforehand. So that's what it looks like beforehand. And then when you fry it up, it's going to be a little more golden than this. It's got quite a bit of grease, as you can imagine. So what I did was fry this ahead of time. So now I'm going to go back a step and tell you what I did exactly. So yesterday afternoon I took my salt fish. I've shown you before. I've got these big fish, and they're salted the winter. My husband's cousin salted them this year. I don't know what he did, but it's the best salt fish I've ever had. Seriously, it's like the perfect saltiness. So I took that and I cut it in little chunks, about, so. And then I covered it in a big pot with cold water, and I let it sit overnight. You can let it sit about 8 hours, but you're going to want to change the water a couple of times. So what I do is let it sit overnight. I change the water, and then in the morning I take that. In the morning is when I changed it, and then I'll take that pot of water with the fish in it. I'll bring it to a boil on the stove just for a couple minutes, like maybe 5 minutes or so. I'll turn the heat off. I'll let it cool slightly, and then I'll pick apart all the bones and everything else, because you don't need anybody choking or anything. And also last night I took about 5 of these. 1 per person is a good rule. I took about 5 of them. I put them in a pot. I let them soak. In the morning, I'll show you now. This is still pretty warm. In the morning, they had soaked up all of the liquid, just about, and that was covered. And that's how big they actually get. Put my lid right back on because it's important to keep this warm. So, this morning, after I got my fish all deboned and everything for time, I took my scrunchions and I fried them up on the pan. I just lightly fried them. I took them off because sometimes scrunchions tend to burn and smoke a little bit. Then I took my onion and I put it in with the grease from the scrunchions. And that's going to be what they call your gravy. Now, my onions are nice and soft and translucent there now. So I'm going to take these scrunchions and put them right back in with the onions, just to brown them a little bit more. When scrunchions get browned up, they get rather crispy. They're like little crispy, salty little bits. There's quite a lot of salt in there, which is why I'm not adding salt to my recipe. Had you used fresh fish, you probably might want a little bit of salt, but a general rule of thumb is salt and pepper at the table. Yeah, so now it's super simple. So now all I'm going to do now is take my bread here. And I already showed you, it's nice and broken up. I'm going to break it up more, but I don't want to make it like mushy. And the same goes for the fish. Like, I've got some really nice, like, big flakes of fish in here, which I'm going to keep in there. I can't help myself. Anyway, I'm going to put this right on top of this. Backwards. And I'm thinking this is about maybe 2 pounds of fish. It was quite a bit more, I think, beforehand, because you know, I had to take the skin and the bones and all of that jazz out of there. So now what I'm going to do is just mix the two together. And as I'm doing that, I'm kind of breaking up the bread a little bit, breaking up the fish a tiny bit more. And this might take a couple minutes. I'm actually going to switch over to my wooden spoon just for noise purposes. I don't want to hurt your little ears. Oh yeah. And you can really, you know, put some elbow grease in there with the wooden spoon. So I'm just going to continue on. And make sure to keep an eye to your onions and your scrunchions. And we'll break it up and break it up and break it up. What are you guys doing this beautiful Sunday? I hope you enjoyed the sunrise video earlier. My goodness, was that ever something? Most times I think we make fish and brews at Christmas Eve. My husband loves fish and brews Christmas Eve. Just sitting around, you know, listening to some music and whatnot. And yeah. It's a nice treat, that's for sure. We're very fortunate to be able to get our hands on some saltfish. But like I said, if you can't, you can absolutely go ahead and use your fresh fish. Just be sure to salt to your taste is all. Oh, Ben is going to be so happy today when he comes, I can guarantee you that. Now, I'm going to give my onions another little flip over there. I'm starting to get broken up very well there now. It takes a minute, just be patient with yourself. My scrunchions and my onions are just about done. I'm just going to continue to break this up. My bread has a few really big chunks, so I'm just being sure, because you don't want a big, you know, piece of bread. You want to taste the fish and the bread and the scrunchion and the onion all together. And have yourself a little taste bud explosion. I actually got quite a busy day on today, so I wanted to get up nice and early and get it done, which I did. I had my yoga done in between the sunrise this morning. Yay me. Early bird catches the worm. Now, I am just about here. Yeah, so there, it's just about there. here, a little bit chunky, but like I said, the bread is all broken up, and the fish is incorporated. But like as you can see, I still have some chunks of fish in there because that's important too. My onions and my scrunchions, as you can see, they're just about ready. And while they're getting ready there now, I will, I was going to read the bag to you again, but it's the exact same thing what I said. Soak your fish, soak your bread. The next morning, boil your fish, pick it apart. Bring your bread almost to a boil, but not boiled. Keep it hot. Put bread in with the fish, mix it together. Now, a lot of people like their scrunchions and onions mixed in. A lot of people like it on top like a gravy. Traditionally, it's served on top like a gravy, but my hubby likes it mixed in. If you're mixing the scrunchions in, and then you leave it overnight, well, the scrunchions are going to lose some of their crispiness. But I guess he doesn't mind. I don't eat a lot of fish and brews because, as you know, I don't like onions. I don't like onions. And I'm thinking, the fat back pork is not very healthy for your waistline either. So, yeah, I'm not going to be having any. I know, it's so sad. But I do have a little bit of fish put aside for myself, so, you know. So there. Fish and brews is mixed together, and I'm going to turn off my fancy dancy burner, and you can see now, look, the scrunchions are kind of golden, the onions are soft and translucent but not burnt. Do not burn them, do not brown them too much. Hubby hates it when it's like, I guess the scrunchions are burnt. So he says, I've never burned them, but he's like, I don't like burnt scrunchions, so he's not getting burnt scrunchions today. He's just going to have them like that. And so if I were to do this traditionally, I would just take a bunch of this, put it on a plate, pour this over top. Today, I'm just going to pour this right in. Yes, all the grease is all the flavor, and it adds to yeah, just the taste, the texture, the scrunchions, everything in the one. Put it all in there. You don't want to waste any. I'm just going to show you how nice that would look just laid over top on a plate, you could imagine. But yeah. And this heats up really easily, like if you had leftovers or anything like that, you can, yeah, quite easily. And you'll see, once you put the brews in and mix it, it gets a lot easier for mixing. And it looks really nice. There we go. Now it's really starting to look like fish and brews. And like I said, you could add potato if you like. A lot of people do. Probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 potatoes maybe, depending on, like I said, the amount of people are feeding, the amount of. This is probably enough for 5 or 6 people, I would imagine. And yep, I'm just gonna show you there. I think I'm done. I don't want to mush it anymore. Ta-da! That, my friends, is traditional Newfoundland style fish and brews. I sure hope you enjoyed the video. I know it was quick, and I sure hope you're having the most beautiful day. And get out there and enjoy it. And I'll be back soon with another video. No worries. Okay, bye.